we're back in Q's lab for real. The way Q's lab should have been in Skyfall. That was one of my gripes with Q in Skyfall was like, why are we in a museum?
In this movie, he's back to being the old Q.
He's back to being normal Q. Suddenly gadgets are cool again.
Like they had never gone out of style. Like they'd always been there.
Like everything Q said in Skyfall about like, yeah, gadgets are stupid.
Were you expecting an exploding pen? We don't really go in for that anymore.
That's all gone. They immediately are just like, oh no, Q's all about gadgets again. It's like, okay, don't you understand that you just contradicted that one movie ago? So after all that talking shit about exploding pens, Q makes an exploding watch.
The alarm is rather loud.
It just feels like they flipped the character because somebody commented, some Chucky Rants out there was like, why does Q hate gadgets? That was his whole thing. And then the producer's like, oh yeah, you're right. Q did like gadgets. Okay, well, the next movie we'll make sure that we rectify that. And they're like, yeah, okay.
I'd rather they have just stuck with what they did previously. Last episode, you had some thoughts about the DB5. I want to hear those. You didn't exactly complete your thought. I want to hear your thought. But first, I want to say that they referenced the exploded DB5, the DB5 that Silva killed. And he says,
I believe I said bring it back in one piece, not bring back one piece.
You know, a classic Q line. You know, bring the equipment back in one piece.
Do please try and return some of this equipment in pristine order.
And I'm like, when would that have been said? I thought this was Bond's personal car. I thought Bond won this DB5 in a poker game. And yeah, it got souped up with gadgets at some point, but when? I thought that he was the new quartermaster.
I'm your new quartermaster.
When would he have taken the DB5 and put gadgets in it? So again, I feel like my intelligence is as a fan, as a viewer, is being assaulted again. So Q hooked Bond up with that DB5, apparently, and yet it's not equipped with an MI6 tracker. I thought that was the whole thing about switching cars in the last movie.
Trouble with company cars is they have trackers.
And also Bond won it in a card game. Like, there's all these contradictions where it's like, there's no through line between Skyfall and Spectre. It's all confused bullshit. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this is my thought process on this whole thing, and it's frustrated me. The first time the DB5 shows up, it's a reference. It's like, oh, that's cute. DB5 from Goldfinger that everyone remembers.
You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 with modifications.
It's just a car, though. And even that movie plays the idea of gadgets and stuff very low-key, and it's like even on the same realm as like Honor Majesty's Secret Service. We're like, yeah, gadgets are kind of very minor. We're not going to do super spy stuff. It's going to be spy stuff, right? But then when you get to Skyfall, I have a feeling that the writers or producers were like, you know what, screw it. We're going to bring back the DB5. It's not going to be a reference. It's almost going to be like in-universe. Again, this is like an in-universe issue. It's like, in-universe, we're going to bring back the DB5 from Goldfinger. Okay, well, what does that mean for this universe? Because you've already said, you've come out and said we're rebooting James Bond, and that this Daniel Craig James Bond is not the previous ones, which the previous ones are technically connected as being like, yeah, it's supposed to be the same guy, even though the years pass, but like no one bats an eye. Yeah. So there's some weird universe thing going on there. But then this, it's like, okay, well, now we're saying that this DB5 has these gadgets that are low-tech gadgets in a world with computers and stuff. What's the answer here? Is it that Q Branch has this DB5 from an agent from the 60s that had it? Is this the DB5 from Casino Royale that he got and then he got weapons on it?
Are you going to complain the whole way?
Oh, go on then, eject me.
Eject a seat, you're joking.
It's just such a weird, muddy, messy thing where I'm like, it's not a reference. It feels more like between Quantum and Skyfall, you could suggest that other James Bond adventures where he did get these items did take place, but it isn't clean. It's just kind of a headcanon story idea that you're like, oh yeah, that maybe Goldfinger happened in the Goldfinger story. Maybe not exactly how it's told in the movie, but it happened between those two movies.
If they would have name dropped Goldfinger, I would have welcomed
You're like,
that.
Oh yeah, this was from the Goldfinger mission or Operation Grand Slam, Bond, but they don't do it.